like, yeah, let me tell you all about the perfect Kasi rap album. And then you always come back. And for him to be in studio, full circle, man.
Yeah, shout out.
Thanks the universe. Sabong.
Nyapila. Introduce yourself to the rest of Africa.
My name is Sizwe, aka Reason, Almighty God Body. I'm a rapper, I'm an MC, I'm an artist, I'm a creative, I'm a songwriter from South Africa.
Khot malam. For somebody who doesn't know, because akunalabo baqeda ukufika manje abasha yabo abangena story ukuthi le Khotman le lisuka kanje njengoba kunamagama abhaya kanje le Khotman le lisuka ba. Where did it all start?
Damn, it's a very long story.
Got the time.
It's a very long story.
You had the bench. I'll give you some time.
It started in the East End, man. I'm a Tembisa / Katlehong boy. Got introduced to hip hop music at a fairly young age. In fact, I got introduced to hip hop music in primary school.
What?
I was lucky enough to go to a so-called multiracial school around 94, 95 there, and Adriano Papalado always had the latest. He always had the latest records. And I got introduced to that phenomenon. I mean, generally just by virtue of growing up in the hood, I was always exposed to the kwaito, to the house music, to the dance music, the 80s dance music, to the Afro, your Ringos, your Brendas and everything, street culture. But I think the primary school and being with the other kids and mingling with the other kids is what introduced me to the hip hop. High school is where it got activated because then I got introduced to other guys who were just like me, who had now gathered, on Germiston High. So now you had kids from Vosloorus, you had kids from Leondale, you had kids from Katlehong, you had kids from Sprayview, and we would all be sharing a pass with the kids from Dinwiddie, Donview, and all, which is actually how I know Saul Penduga through the battle rounds. Because he went to Donview and he's from Vosloo, so and he was close with my best friend then at the time. Fast forward, got into the battle scene. Fast forward, ended up doing jingles for DJ Fresh, YFM. Fast forward, became close friends with Battle Cats, Proverb, and I guess the whole outrageous movement. If you're talking optical illusion, H2O, I was like the little kid, in the whole clique, bunk school a lot of times just to get to those sessions, but I was getting schooled as well, it's another conversation when you're skipping school to go chill with Zabs the next letter. And he's asking you why you smoke. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Then from there, gradually I started finding my way. I think I then formed a very close relationship with Instro, who was also like Battle Cats understudy. I think me and Instro, and he had come from that movement, with Bo and Tipa and all of them, and me and him started working together a lot, and we started producing, and he had the same urge as me. I think really the most important part about the Reason story is I came from the underground, but trying to figure out a way to make it commercially, but in an aggressive way, I think jumping on a Do It Like I Can was still that. Because I remember it was like, how do we make these rap songs get on the radio? How do we make these verses and this style get on the radio? Cause,
keep the bars. Yeah,
because at the time, the industry had, Pro Kid, who had made it slightly easier. Proverb was made it slightly easier. Doomy was there, who had made it slightly easier. Optical Illusion had made it slightly easier. You know what I mean? H2O made it slightly easier. But then, there was just never really somebody who was just like, we're gonna do punchlines from beginning to end. But still make them relevant to an ordinary person, on the streets, because that was the challenge, coming into the game. When I came into the game, it was like, you have to mix it up. Why can't you be like Questa? That was the chat. Just add a bit of Zulu here, or just switch it up. It worked for Squatter Camp, it worked for WHP, it worked for Pro Kid, it's working for Kulichana, it could work for you. So And somehow, for a very long time, I think I only really cracked it because they actually thought I was American. For
The whole time.
Yeah, when people heard it, like, it's only after a while they said, but he said Skarango Vez. I swear he said Skarango Vez on the song. Yeah, so, but I mean, that's why I ended up, I think, on the so-called white radio stations. Like, I was big on 5, I was big on 947, I was big on, you know, on all those festivals. I was doing Opi Kopi, I was doing, you know, Rockin' the Daisies. I was literally like the token black rapper or the black token black artist in like the white circles. But I was rapping in English. Right. Well, we never said that. It was all yo Weezy. Also with the accent, yeah, saying up, saying yeah, word, you know. So and that's really like but that was also like Tumi's effort. You know, Tumi's effort was really that's what changed when he came into the game. He was, or at least when he came into my circle, he took everything that me and Battlecat had built just off of getting the lyrics rights, getting the music rights, getting the hip hop and the content rights, and getting the story rights. And then he took it from there to say, okay, let's make it right for the rest of the public. You know, and that's where he brought me, you know, to 37 MPH, you know, introduced me to a bunch of other people actually that were producing. That's how I actually even met Ivy League and started working with them. I mean, I knew them, but I started working with them after Tumi showed up. It was just like, yo, let's
because if memory serves me good, you were hyping when
No, I was hyping Proverb. I was Proverb's hype man for a very long time. Tumi never needed a hype man. Tumi's hype man with a band. The volume was his hype man, but generally, he's, you know, I remember even when he heard the Reasoning, he was like, yo, Reason, I swear to you, this is like the greatest demo I've ever heard in my life. I was like, yo, that's my first album. He's like, no, this is a great demo. Let's go make your album, you know? Yeah, so and he was also, I think, trying to also make his mark as more than just an artist, you know? So he signed me, we had Ginger Trill there, we had Perfecto, we had The Fridge, which had something Soweto as well. Ricky was signed there for a bit.
That's Motif, right?
That's Motif. That's Motif. But yeah, from Motif, the rest is history. You know? I don't know if you want to start the Sizwe Alakine story.
Yeah,
that's another long story as well.
I want to jump into that one. The transition from the hot man
from Reason now being like this, you know, to Sizwe. Sizwe is more like calm and it's more human. I tend to believe whenever I hear anything from Sizwe Alakine, I can hear it's so young.
Yeah, I think the best way to put it is, you know, the Reason brand was fighting so hard to try and be international. You know, the Sizwe Alakine brand is fighting to be local. You know, Reason was telling South African stories to the rest of the world. That's why we were rapping in English. So the Americans can hear it, the Europeans can hear it, and everybody else. But Sizwe is trying to tell stories to his own people. Like, I'm trying to rap about the after tears to you. So much more in this chapter. So, like, this is like my after tears. You understand what I'm saying? You know, when we were doing Bafo, like it's already and that was like during lockdown. But that was really like the vibe. You know, like that was literally
what happened at that time.
So Sizwe Alakine, technically, if you listen to the song or you just listen to it, even when you listen to Elogishi, if you listen to Dear Taki, it's literally like a story or a letter written to the black person, just reminding them about themselves outside of everything else that social media, society, and everything else tries to convince us to be, you know? Just the realities of walking out of town and what you see, or walking out of the hood, what you see, you know, and walking out of any type of level where you'll find Utaki. Not a black person, but Utaki. Like, when we're talking about Utaki, we're talking about something else. There's a black person, but there's Utaki. Utaki corner, you understand? And now I'm writing music for those people. Kind of like, yo, I see you, I hear you, you know, and let's tell everybody else about those things, because honestly speaking, there's a lot of truths in South Africanism that, at least that's what I discovered when I went into it, you know. Even when I was going into piano, that was my thing. I was like, yo, there's a lot of things that these guys talk about, but a lot of it has nothingness, you know. How do we put some something into this? You understand?
Now I understand.
That was actually the initial intention when we went to Kabza's house with Imitanda. So I remember, you know, my manager kept saying, yo, we've done these songs and all these other songs so many times, but we need to actually do something like really spiritual. Like, let's actually go for people's hearts. Let's speak from the heart, you know. And at the same time, when you listen to that song is not talking to an American.
Yeah, it's talking
It's talking to a South African.
Yeah,
You understand?
to us, yeah.
So that's really like what the difference was, is that, you know, this one's career was pretty much based on, you know, trying to formulate a way to sell the concept of what South Africa is to the rest of the world.
Okay.
And now this one just started embracing itself. You know, I started embracing where I come from and the people that I know from there and the languages that we speak and the people that, you know, that I grew up with. I'm trying to talk to them because for a very long time, I feel like I was making music for everybody outside of them. Even though you could relate to it, you know, you can relate to No Sleep. But, you know, an American hearing it is something else. It's like, yo, this is a dude from South Africa describing his hustle. You know, when you listen to Do It Like I Can, it's a guy from South Africa describing, you know, their hustle, you know, Bump the Cheese Up, you know, Rigorous. These are all songs that were designed for anybody who's, maybe inside, sure, but especially the outside, because that was the mission, you know, how do we get global?
And reception-wise, going from Reason to Sizwe, I mean, Yo-Yo, who are a fan of Reason, they sort of like, in the beginning, were like rejecting Sizwe Alakine, and do you think there's a shift now? They understand Sizwe the brand?
I don't know if, you know, this rejection concept was always like a social media thing.
Oh, yeah?
Because in the streets, like, yo, it's live. Like,
It's
you bump into somebody say, yo, I like Reason more. Shout out. You know, I see what you're doing.
I guess what's on everybody's lips right now is that Red Bull freestyle.
Yeah,
bro. Everybody talking about that Red Bull freestyle.
What are they saying?
They say you're taking shots. You're hurting people. You're giving
What are
them
you
shots.
mina ngithi ya vele basha makube kunjalo.
It's not a diss song, it's a real song.
It's a real song. Yeah.
It's not a diss song.
It's not a diss. It's just being real.
You came out on a song as Bell MC, like that old school Bell's Turbo style.
Yes, sir.
Was it on purpose?
I think it was intentional. It was intentional because, man, within, I'll tell you, you know, what keeps me going is really just trying to find something that new every now and then. Not something completely new, because there'll never be anything completely new in my eyes. I think I've done it all. I've done the white, I've done the hip hop, I've done the battle. You know, but just trying to keep it fresh, you know, just while you're still listening to the piano, let's show up with a freestyle. While you're still listening to the freestyle, you show up, you know, with the piano boys. Like, it's just keep it moving, you know. But I think that specific freestyle had a lot to do with the fact that I had something to say. I think that's the most important thing about freestyles generally, is just to have something to say, you know. People not even aware about it, but like I recorded that thing in April and it only came out now. Which would give context to why I felt so passionate about some of the things I spoke about, because those things were actually just fresh in my mind, you know.